Soccer captain has never played in a side that's been beaten 20-0, or if he has, he's not saying anything. But there's a story that Johnny relates about the Australian soccer team a few years back, which is worth recalling.
It was in 1969, we'd World Cup elimination to see who'd go to Mexico for the Asian zone. And we'd beaten Korea and Japan in a tournament in Korea, and it looked like we were going straight to Mexico, we were going to qualify, but FIFA then decided that we'd have to play Rhodesia in a place called Mozambique, neutral Mozambique. And we were all out of training, and we were really up against it, even though the Rhodesians were a very limited team. And we went to Mozambique to play, and we were having trouble with them. We drew the first two games 1-1, and it looked like we weren't going to make it to Mexico. And we were having trouble, so one of the Australian, our medical officer, Dr. Brian Corrigan, bumped into an Australian in his travels who knew a witch doctor. And as 8 of the Rhodesian team, including their very good goalkeeper, were coloured players, that he thought that the witch doctor may be able to help us. Anyhow, they had this meeting or rendezvous with the witch doctor, who said that he would point the bones at the Rhodesian team, and they had a meeting at the stadium, and he was going to bury the bones under one of the goal. And our objection was, well, how do we know which goal is going to be the Rhodesian goal? Anyhow, it was finally resolved that he said, well, the bones are going to be pointed at the Rhodesian keeper, it doesn't matter which end. Anyhow, from that he stated his fee. He spoke impeccable English, and he said that his fee was £50. In return, we wanted to have publicity to scare the Rhodesian, especially the coloured players, to scare them a little bit, that the bones were pointed at them. So it went on that he wouldn't give the publicity and we wouldn't pay the fee, but the bones were already planted behind the goal. Anyhow, the story was that we won the game 3-1, and so we got what we wanted. The witch doctor didn't get what he was after. The last we saw of him was at the airport, shaking his fist at the Australian team that we'd robbed him and hadn't paid the money, and that he'd put a curse on the Australian team from then on. And believe it or not, but from that moment on, we had to travel to Israel to play Israel for the right to go to Mexico. We had a hold-up at every airport. We travelled for 36 hours from Lorenzo Marx Airport to arrive in Israel. We arrived there 22 hours before the game. We lost to Israel. We arrived back in Sydney. We had a big muck-up in Sydney. We attacked for 80 minutes of a 90-minute match against Israel at the Sydney Sports Ground, drew 1-1, and missed out on going to Mexico by the odd goal. And probably some more events since for Australian soccer have proved that guy maybe still has a curse on the people connected with that team and Australian soccer, but a very true story, and we still don't know to this day whether we should have paid that our witch doctor friend his $50.
Witch doctor or no witch doctor, there's no magic in becoming a forgotten sports hero, which is exactly what's happened to John O'Shea, the former British Rugby Union international.